take you guys on a field trip to one of our job sites. This project is for odor neutralization. There's a ton of nicotine staining on, walls, and look at this. See the wall behind me? Staining on walls, on cabinets, on everything. In addition to that, the previous owner of this property owned cats, and so there was cat hair everywhere. And so the property needed a good cleaning. Now, when we do an odor neutralization project, we typically offer a 4-step process, starting with source removal and cleaning and things like that, and usually ending in encapsulation. So a lot of these walls are going to be painted, some of the cabinets are going to be removed, but the homeowner wanted to give it a shot before she sells the property and see if she can get away with just doing an odor treatment. Now, for a project like this, we've always had really good success with CLO2, and there's a ton of different brands out there. I believe Procure is one. We use a product called Reset, and big shout out to one of our suppliers, Schapers Supply. Eric is the man, Eric and Don. If you ever go out or look up Schapers Supply, ask to speak with Eric or Don. Those guys are great. And they're also the reason I'm making this video. Without them lending me this cool new machine, I would have nothing to review right now. So big heads up, I never used this machine before. It's called the Rhino by K&J, and it's supposed to be a CLO2 dispersal machine, right? So usually what we do is we take our CLO2 and they come in parts A and part B. We mix them up per the manufacturer's instructions, and then we combine them in a 5-gallon bucket. Now, I don't have a private labeled 5-gallon buckets, so usually it's either a Home Depot or a Lowe's bucket. And then what we do is we add, you can get it at any pet shop, a bubbler, right, that you would find in a fish tank. And so we would put the bubbler in the 5-gallon bucket, and that's supposed to, agitate and aerate the chemical mixture, promote off-gassing, and increase dispersal, right? So the idea with the Rhino from K&J is you don't have to do any of that. You put the CLO2 mixture in the machine, there's a fan, it spins, and it disperses. So with that said, I want to dive into this machine because I'm really excited to see how it works and go from there. So let's go check it out. All right, so I want to apologize in advance because, again, we are on a job site, so I'm handling the camera and trying to show you this. But this right here, this is the Rhino, and I'm assuming they call it that because of its unique shape, right? So I'm guessing, the little horn sticks out here, I suppose. I don't know. I don't name these things. But so far, it does have a couple features that I do like. There are a couple things that I right off the bat, I wish were a little different. But it is lightweight. This thing does not weigh too much at all. Almost feels hollow, So what I can say is I like that there's not too much to this. It means it's going to be very easy to take apart and clean if needed. You just have your screws here, and you take that off and get right to the fan blade. On this side, you have your toggle switch on and off. It is illuminated green, and then you have your hour limit, which on the other side, let's see if we can turn around here. On the other side, we just have a label, just tells you what it's about. Now, it is pretty cool that it's 1 amp, okay? As I'm crawling around on my knees. It's 1 amp, which is not a large power draw at all. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the CFM is, and I'll post that right up here. So these are all the specs for this Rhino from K&J. So anyway, you're going to open this up, and you have 2 trays. To me, these trays look 3D printed, which makes them lightweight. They actually might be 3D printed, I don't know. But what I can tell you is this, right? So you have your tray, you add your water, and then you have this grate. This is not removable, which is the second thing that, if it were up to me, I would change. If we could remove this is going to be difficult to clean. really well. So I don't know what the CLO2 is going to do to the plastic once it's added. Sometimes when you use 5-gallon buckets, you do get a white residue, like a chalky type residue. You got to clean it really well to get that off. And so I'm assuming we're going to have the same issue with this. The only thing is, this is, again, it's like that 3D printed material. The bottom inside the tray is nice and smooth. The back end of this is not though. This is not like sanded down or anything. So we'll see how that goes with cleaning. But yeah, this is it. This is the whole machine. When you turn it on, there's a fan, and I don't know if you can see inside, that's all it is. It's just one little fan and 2 trays. Now, why would you buy something like this? For one, it looks way more professional than 5-gallon buckets. The second thing that I really like about this is that when you use a bubbler, you're kicking particles and particulates up. And so usually we'll lay plastic down around the bucket to just capture that and prevent it from hitting it and ruining finishes or surfaces or things like that. With this machine, I'm anticipating not having the same problem. This is a good job to test it out on because, again, we ripped the carpet and the pad up and the texture. There's nothing here to get ruined. So yeah, so we're gonna put it together and see how it works, and I'll check back with you in a second. Let's get the CLO2 mixed up. All right, so I'm in the kitchen of the property, and the very first thing that I need to do is create the CLO2. So we're using 500-gram packets. It's what I like to use for full houses, and then I can supplement with the 100-gram tabs or the 50-gram tabs, whatever. Now, so I did create a huge mess a minute ago by filling this up with water because I wasn't sure how much water each tray held. It looks like it'll hold 1 gallon comfortably. 2 gallons, it fills it to the brim, the absolute brim. And so it's really difficult. Like, I'm not sure how I'm supposed to how much I'm supposed to put in each tray. So I think that if I did 2 gallons in one tray and left the other one empty, it would spill. It would spill unless the bottom is a drip tray and it's designed to catch any of the spilling. I don't know. So because of that, I'm gonna stick to 1 gallon and 1 gallon in each. So we're gonna mix it. I'm gonna grab the buckets that I would have used anyway without this machine, mix it all up in the bucket, and then pour half in each tray and then put that in the machine. I think that'll be the way to go. So time to don some PPE, full face respirator, OVA, organic vapor acid gas cartridges, and HEPA. I like to do the 3, and let's get it all mixed up. All right, so I just finished mixing part B into a bucket with 2 gallons of water. I walked the trays over here because initially I thought I'd put the trays into the Rhino and then pour from the bucket into each tray, like slide it out a little bit. The front part of that tray has a larger hole, and I really thought that that's what it was for. Once I got both trays in though, it became really apparent that that may not work and that there was a possibility that it would spill. It sits well in there, but if it's off even a little bit, that added weight, it's a little sketchy. So I laid them out on the floor like this, you know, so that way you can see what we're doing here, and then I'll just pour it in from that bucket. I'll pour it into here and then slide both of them in and then go from there. So that's the game plan. Wish me luck, and time to get to it. All that's left now is turning the fans on, and then cleaning up, and we should be able to get out of here. Let's do it. All right, guys, so I just wrapped up that odor neutralization project. I'm back here hanging out on my training wall with the Rhino. Big shout out again to Schapers Supply, Eric and Don. You guys are awesome. Thank you for letting me borrow this thing and test it out. And it's really helped me have a better understanding of this machine. And I'm hoping a lot of other independent restorers be able to make a decision on not just purchasing this device, but whether or not to give CLO2 a shot. So for anybody watching this, if you don't have a solid supplier, definitely check out Schapers Supply and give them a call and ask to speak with Eric or Don. Those guys will hook you up and help you out. So yeah, final thoughts, man. I think this thing is very well put together. There's really nothing to it. Like, this whole thing feels 3D printed. It might actually have been 3D printed for all I know. It's very lightweight, it's hollow, it's a box with a fan, right? The fan is 500 CFM. I did reach out to the manufacturer. I had a conversation with them and asked them a couple things, because there's not too much information out there right now on this particular device. So the fan is 500 CFM. They are working on redoing the trays, which is cool. So the trays were a big one for me. Like, I didn't understand why they were slotted, and that's because CLO2 comes in all different shapes and sizes and different kinds of product out there. I just use the powder, mix it into a liquid, and do it that way. Apparently there are companies out there that sell it in a packet, and those packets will fit in the tray. So I think there's better ways to do that. I know that they're working on that, and I'm excited to see what that turns into. The other thing is the tray. I noticed, especially with the top tray, when you slide that in, you really need to get that on the track, because if it's off even a little bit with that added weight, it will drop or it'll spill. So I know that they're working on that too. And then the last thing, my other concern, is the thumb screws. I really don't like those. I know I mentioned that, you know, with a Yeti cooler, there's little Yeti cooler tabs. You see them on the front of Evo LGRs. I thought that would be a better solution, but they got me beat there too. K&J, man, they're on top of their game. They're talking about maybe making that magnetic, so the whole back would just be magnetic. And I thought that was a phenomenal idea. So the other thing I didn't mention is that you can purchase filters for this. You could put a filter right in the back of the device. I don't think I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to do a CLO2. The manufacturer actually recommends that you don't do it with the CLO2. Don't add the filter and use it with CLO2. It's really meant for if you need another negative air machine, you could throw a filter in this thing and use it as that. But I don't know how well that would actually work. I don't think it's going to make that great of a seal. It's probably comparable to the filters they used to sell for the Velo air movers, the HEPA kits. So who knows? Maybe it is a good filter. I don't know. I'll never use it for that though. But it is a possibility. You could do it. Cleaning is very simple. You can reach the back of this fan from the inside. You just reach your hand in. You have access to everything. There's 4 screws on the front. You can undo it and wipe it down, and it's so basic that it's actually beneficial that way, right? Like, it's not overcomplicated, it's not over-designed, it's exactly the way that you would want it to be. Easy to use, easy to clean, easy to justify. So, and it looks way more professional than a 5-gallon bucket. The other cool thing too is that when using this, I found that it gets the chemical up and in the air a lot better. It disperses it better than a bubbler would. And so that's the biggest thing with CLO2, is sizing the project correctly. And so for me, I always oversize it, because I know that bubbler is not gonna aerate things to the point that it's gonna kick everything up into the air. And this thing does a lot better job at getting it airborne, which then your other air movers can recirculate, or ceiling fans, whatever. So because of that, I think that you can actually have an easier time sizing projects with CLO2 if you use this machine. So anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment. I'm pretty good at responding to those. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, if you need any additional information, feel free to give me a call, or reach out to Schapers at Schapers Supply, ask to speak with Eric or Don, and I'm sure they're going to hook you up too. So until next time, we'll see you.